Ted Capita received some good news Friday night. He was declared eligible by the NCAA, eligible immediately, so he'll suit up in Game 2 for the Wolfpack. It's the season opener for the St. Francis Terriers. They beat Miami in their opener in 2013. You're watching ACC basketball here on the ACC Network Extra. We welcome you inside the PNC Arena here in Raleigh, North Carolina, as the NC State Wolfpack square off against the St. Francis Brooklyn Terriers. Hello, everybody. So glad you could join us today. Andrew Sanders, Chucky Brown with you here. Chucky, good year for St. Francis last year. Tied second in the NEC. Big reason why. Eunice Hopkinson had a breakout junior season. They look to the senior to lead them here today.
Yes, Eunice Hopkinson is a very good player, and I look for him to try to control the tempo in order to keep St. Francis in this game.
St. Francis returns 3 starters from last season, but a look at what they lost. Couple of third-team All-NEC performers, and Amdi Fall, who was twice named NEC Defensive Player of the Year. On the other side, NC State is led by the dynamic freshman point guard Dennis Smith Jr. He got off to a bit of a rough start on Friday, although he did score double figures.
Yeah, he got off to a bit of a rough start, but even for good players, you know, there's a learning curve to the game. So hopefully he'll get some things going to the basket. He can see the ball going in the hole, and then he could get his jump shot going.
Important news for NC State. We already touched on the fact that Ted Capita cleared by the NCAA, so he is good to go today. But a loss for NC State. Maverick Rowan is out with a concussion. He had 17 and 9 on Friday. There's the head coach of the Terriers, Glenn Bryka, his 7th season. In 2015, they were the NEC regular season champs. He's already the 5th winningest coach in school history here at the start of his 7th season. On the other side, Mark Gottfried of the Wolfpack. It's his 6th year in Raleigh. 4 straight NCAA tournaments. Missed last year, looked to get back to the big dance this season. Already off to a 1-0 start after the win over Georgia Southern on Friday. And we are underway here in Raleigh as Malik Abu wins the tip.
St. Francis starting out in a man-to-man. I thought maybe they would try to zone him up a little bit.
Torin Dorn at the top of the key. Get a look at the Wolfpack lineup. Dorn gets a screen from Anya. Shot clock running down. Henderson's got to just heave something up.
Yeah, that's a bad possession for NC State. That time with St. Francis switching everything, you got to look to maybe a high-low because they fronted the post. So that weak side player, whoever that is on that weak side block, has to do a quick flash to the free throw line.
St. Francis, you see Hopkinson along with Olafson, Glenn Sanabria, who got injured last season, misses the fall-away shot. It was when Sanabria got injured that Hopkinson really was thrust into a bigger role and when he shined. Here's Dennis Smith Jr., a lot of contact. He goes down, no foul, and the Terriers will push it the other way. So already a couple of possessions in, we see exactly what Coach Bryka is known for, a tough, in-your-face type pressure defense. NC State having trouble to handle it through 2 possessions.
Yeah, they're not. St. Francis is not going to back down. You know, they've played against ACC schools before. At least their coach has been there before, so he's going to have his team ready. And you know, I thought they might come out in the zone, but they didn't. And maybe NC State thought the same thing.
Perhaps a chance for the Wolfpack in transition here. And Henderson dribbling off his foot, able to regather it. Inside look, and Sanabria got a hand on it.
Yeah, this is where NC State has to capitalize, though, because if you see a team that's really tough in the half court, then you got to have to get as many easy baskets as you can.
Dennis Smith drives, pretty pass. Dorn was fouled before the Anya follow-up dunk.
Yeah, those were 2 good passes by the Wolfpack. You know, but some of those baskets you got to finish because St. Francis is playing pretty tough in the half court. Like I said before, I thought they would come out in the zone because of the lack of size, but they're coming out and getting right in NC State's face and say, hey, you know, we got nothing to lose. Let's go ahead and see what's going to happen.
Dorn scores the game's first points. Redshirt sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina. Had 12 points, 11 rebounds Friday night in the opener against Georgia Southern.
Yeah, Torrin Dorn is one of the glue guys. I think he and Terry Henderson, as long as NC State is, long as they're out there on the floor, NC State is going to defend really well on the perimeter.
There's a second free throw and an offensive board to B.J. Anya. The Wolfpack retain the possession. Here's the lob. Henderson to Dorn.
Yeah, good pass by Terry Henderson. Way to see Dorn lurking around on the baseline.
The substitution earlier for St. Francis, Joshua Nurse went out with his first foul. And they brought in the freshman, number 5, Robert Montgomery, who has the ball now.
Good patience by St. Francis.
Hopkinson with 5 on the shot clock will let a long 3 go off the backboard, and the offensive rebound to Montgomery. And a foul will go against B.J. Anya. Here's another look at the pass from Terry Henderson.
Yeah, it was a good pass. Dorn was lurking on the baseline, and it looked like St. Francis had kind of went to a zone, and it was a little bit of confusion of who had who.
So both Anya and Abu, the Pack big men, have already picked up 1 foul just a couple minutes into the game. That was a problem on Friday night against Georgia Southern. Open 3 in the corner, out and then back in. Knocked down by Gunnar Olofsson.
Yeah, that was a good find right there, and Olofsson was sitting right by himself in the corner. And that's pretty much an easy shot from the corner, especially when you're wide open.
It's a pretty good name for a guy that's a good outside shooter, right?
Olofsson.
Gunnar Olofsson.
Gunnar.
Henderson is fouled. Sanabria will be charged with his first.
I'd like to see NC State go to the UCLA cut since St. Francis has started out in this man-to-man, and just to see how they handle it and maybe get some action on that low post with one of the guards. Henderson has a size advantage. So does Dennis Smith. So does Torrin Dorn. You'll put one of the bigs at the free throw line and let somebody cut off.
Sanabria checks out. Into the contest now. Tough shot. Tried to follow up by Abu. Once, twice, still working hard down low and had it taken away.
Yeah, that time Abu brought it down and it got to him. But that's what Dennis Smith has to do. He went to the basket and just missed the shot.
So Abu unable to capitalize on a couple offensive boards. Olofsson will drive. Kick to Montgomery. They work it around. An open 3 for Dunn is off the mark.
Good board by Dorn.
And Abu gets in his way, had his pocket picked.
Yeah.
Keon Williams gets it, and it's a block. Oh, what a block from Dennis Smith, but a foul is called.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate there. I thought it was a good block from here. You know, I'm not out there, but it looked like a good block from here. But that last play just showed you the scrappiness that St. Francis is going to bring to the game. So, you know, when you bring that type of effort to the game, the referees tend to let you get away with a little more, and the calls tend to go in your favor. So that right there was a call in their favor.
So Dunn to the free throw line, looking for his first collegiate points. He misses the first, and you can hear the groan in the crowd. They showed the replay on the Jumbotron here.
Yeah, well, the referees don't have the benefit of getting replays.
Sure.
So, you know, I'll give him a break. I didn't cut him no slack when I played, but I'll cut him some slack since I'm sitting over here.
That's right. Second free throw for Dunn is good, and there is his first ever college point. The freshman from Brooklyn, New York. The St. Francis team has 7 players from New York on the roster, many of them from the city.
Good ball pressure right there. They're playing. They're getting real active. Good help on the backside. They're fighting. They're gonna fight. So NC State is gonna be in for a fight today with St. Francis. They're small, but they're scrapping. There was good weak side help. They're coming over very fast. They're fronting the post. But what NC State needs to do is have somebody flash to the high post and get a nice high-low, old school high-low. A lot of offenses don't do that anymore.
You mentioned the size advantage for NC State as Anya misses the first. You could see he made up his mind in the post. He was going to the basket, and really nobody on the floor right now for St. Francis taller than 6'6". So as you see, Anya at 6'9" with his wingspan, a huge advantage.
Right. Yeah. BJ is bigger than anybody probably in the gym. So he has to take advantage of that.
Hopkinson, the senior from New York City, third-team All-Conference last year. Here's Keon Williams, guarded by Dorn.
Good patience, good patience. Yeah, that was a foul that time. He had hands on him, but that's good patience. And at the end of the shot clock, you see they have the ball in Hopkinson's hands.
Right.
So that's what you want, the ball in your best player's hands when the shot clock is running down, and they gave him a little ball screen and he came off and, a touch foul, but it was a foul.
As you complimented the patience, you can tell that the Terriers and Coach Branco want to go ahead and run a little bit of clock.
Right.
And so NC State has to be, as the floater is missed by Montgomery, rebound will come all the way out. They have to be disciplined to not foul late in the shot clock. 3 from the corner will rattle in.
Well, see, that's what happens when you give a team second shots. The best time to get a three-pointer is on an offensive rebound because everybody is sucked in and trying to get the ball.
So the Terriers have already made a couple of threes. That one to Dunn, who has 4 points. Easy look inside. Anya is fouled by Dunn. So that will take us to the break. BJ Anya coming to the line when we come back from Raleigh. Welcome back from the break. NC State trailing St. Francis. Terriers playing in their opener. NC State already 1-0. At the first media timeout, BJ Anya will head to the line alongside Chucky Brown. I'm Andrew Sanders. Well, Chucky, NC State was led offensively last game by Terry Henderson. He had 23 points. Got it working from three-point range, but really down the stretch made some clutch free throws.
Right, well, he's the veteran guy out there. He's the older guy. He's been around, probably played more games than anybody. So when things get a little chaotic out there, he's going to be the guy that I would look to settle everybody down. Because all these other guys, Dennis, even though Dennis is a great player, he's still a freshman. Mm-hmm. So freshmen are pretty much unpredictable. So Terry can help him throughout this freshman year.
Darius Hicks will check in for Anya. Anya has 3 points. You can hear the joy from the crowd. He made both free throws, just a 43% shooter last year, so that's what they're excited about.
Right. Well, BJ has to get those free throws down because if not, he's going to spend a lot of time on the line, and people are just going to foul him on purpose. And if he can't make his free throws, it's going to be like a turnover.
Yeah. Hicks guarding Olafson. Dunn almost got trapped into the corner and last touched by Olafson. Couldn't find the handle on it, so it's a turnover for the Terriers.
Yeah, that time what they tried to do was Olafson tried to give the ball up and like a dribble handoff and pop back real quick, and the pass was a little low, and he kicked the ball.
The second turnover by the visitors from Brooklyn. Hopkinson playing up on Dennis Smith Jr. He'll take a baseline jumper and hit.
Yeah, well, that's a nice rhythm shot right there, getting something going to the basket, not settling for the three-point shot. So that's a nice move, and Dennis can do that all game if he wants to.
Dennis Smith Jr. showing no signs at this point of that Charlie horse, if you will, is done. Pretty reverse, does not fall. Got kneed in the thigh, and you could see him definitely limping throughout the rest of the game, but he looks good to go today.
Yeah, he's looking good today. I'm sure he got some good treatment on it. And I'm sure he's feeling fine.
Hicks, that's a jump ball. We got tied up by Dunn. Possession arrow in favor of the Terriers.
Yeah, Hicks was a little undecided that time, and it caught up with him because he took probably one dribble more than he should have taken. And maybe just a one dribble pull up, that's less than a free throw right there. So that's at the ACC line. He could have took that jump shot.
It's 4 turnovers for NC State. Hicks, a part of the freshman class, 6 freshmen. And out of eligible freshmen, that grew by 1 on Friday night. As we talked about in the open, Ted Capita, we haven't seen him yet, but he is dressed and is eligible to play today. And he's a big-time recruit and another big body for the Wolfpack. Sanabria is blocked by Abu. Here comes Dennis Smith. He's fouled, and the basket.
Yeah, right there. Dennis is going to be very dangerous in transition. So he has to capitalize on those moments right there, just like he did. Get the and one, because there's nobody down there that's really going to be able to block his shot. So if he gets it in transition, he can get it and take it all the way. Just be careful of running into somebody and getting a charge.
Well, a foul on Keon Williams. That's now 5 points for Dennis Smith. You talked about him getting to his offense a little earlier, going to the basket. That has played out thus far.
Yeah, he needs to get to the basket, and now he could if he gets an open three-point shot in rhythm, he can take that and he'll feel more comfortable with making it.
Long three is off the back iron. For Abu, he picked up that block shot. He had 6 blocks on Friday night against Georgia Southern, which is a career high for him. Goes to work on Montgomery.
Yep.
And he has an and-one opportunity.
Again, NC State getting the ball in the paint. Go ahead and get the ball in the paint. These guys are much smaller than you, so you have to use your advantage, and your advantage is your size. Their advantage is probably their quickness. So when they get the ball on offense, they might want to try to spread NC State out. But NC State definitely get in there and pound the paint.
So Malik Abu to the free throw line. NC State on a 9-0 run. And how about Abu? He had a double-double Friday night, already 5 rebounds here today. Last season he had 14 double-doubles. That's the most returning double-doubles out of any player in the ACC. So he's pretty much a machine, and I know you're a guy that's a fan of rebounding, so you can certainly respect that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of rebounding. Not everybody wants to do it. You know, people don't want to do the dirty work. So when I see a guy like Malik, who with his athleticism, you know, he should walk in. When he walks in the gym, he got 5 rebounds already.
Whistle away from the ball. And I think it's going to be called on Rasheed Dunn. It is. Yeah. 0 fouling 0 there. He fouled Abu. And that is Dunn's 2nd foul.
You know, one thing St. Francis, they can't afford to get into foul trouble. So eventually they may have to go zone to maybe keep some of their guys out of foul trouble or to try to hide them. But the problem with going to zone is the rebounding. NC State has such good size that they'll be able to get position easier, you know, when you're not in the man-to-man and when you're in the zone, because the zone has to move so much.
How about this? 13 minutes left in the first half, and NC State already in the bonus as Abu hits the front end of the 1-and-1. Already 7 team fouls for the Terriers.
Well, they already they're attacking the basket. They came out and started attacking the basket. You know, they have the size advantage, so NC State is using that, and that's what's going to open up other things later on in the game.
BJ Anya knocked down a pair of free throws. Now Malik Abu, certainly a point of emphasis for the big guys. Yeah. Just as a big guy, if you're not hitting your free throws, you're leaving a lot of points out there.
You leave a lot of points out there, and also people will start fouling you on purpose, and even if you make 1 out of 2, it's a wasted possession.
Olafson, strong move, and the finger roll goes off the glass.
Nice move by Olafson. Abu wasn't able to get over there and bother that shot, but that was definitely a nice, strong move.
Already 5 points for the junior from Iceland. Here's the alley. And Abu was fouled on his way up. Should go against Jamel Bodrick. And it will go against the sophomore from New York City. Bodrick enrolled last year but was ineligible. One of several players on the St. Francis team, as we talked about what they lost from last year. They have 5 players that hadn't played a game of college basketball yet.
Right. Well, they've got a really young team coming in here, and they have the smallest, I think we talked about it earlier, they have the smallest arena.
They have the fourth smallest
gym
in the country. Yeah.
In the country. So either they're going to come in and be wide-eyed and say, wow, we're in the PNC, or they're going to come out and say, hey, let's lay it on the line, let's go play, right, and be excited to play. So it looks like they're laying it on the line and they're excited to be here.
Yeah, it's quite a difference. NC State averages about 16,000 fans per game if you look at the last several years. Good feed inside, had it taken away. Henderson with the steal. So 16,000 here.
Right.
The St. Francis home court seats just 1,000.
Wow.
Here's an alley-oop. Oh, it's Abu with a jam.
NC State can get those type of plays all night because St. Francis, once NC State's post people are going down to the paint, St. Francis is trying to front.
Markel Johnson blocks. And good hands from Sanabria. Gets the possession right back. Corner 3, no. And an offensive rebound. And Dennis Smith picks up his 2nd foul now.
Yeah, Dennis has to let him have that shot. He can't foul in that particular situation.
But Smith lobbing to Abu will go to break. NC State by 10. Welcome back, everyone, here on the ACC Network Extra, along with Chucky Brown. I'm Andrew Sanders. Dennis Smith will take a seat after picking up his second foul, but you know, look at this pass. Abu just able to slip around and go unnoticed.
Yeah, he slipped that time off the pick and roll. He didn't go off your conventional way. He kind of just went off, just rolled off, and that play is there for the entire night since they're switching, since they're going to be switching, or the entire day, I should say, since they're going to be switching it.
To the free throw line, here's Darrell Porter. Makes his first free throw, no surprise. He's a junior, but it's his first year here at St. Francis. He transferred the last 2 years. He was at Polk Community College, where he was nearly an 84% free throw shooter.
Okay.
And he makes them both. So Markel Johnson, another freshman point guard for the Wolfpack, will take over with Smith on the bench.
Yeah, I see NC State went right to the UCLA cut. Markel Johnson came off and was open for the layup, but good thing he passed it back out because the St. Francis defense sucked into him. Nice layup by Terry.
That was not an easy shot.
No, that it takes a little bit of athleticism to do that one.
Porter guarded by Johnson. He got a fingertip on it, and here's Dorn. All the way to the hoop. He'll throw it down.
Nice play by Torrin Dorn, and nice aggressively attacking the rim.
So it starts with Johnson getting his hand in the passing lane. Dorn now with 5 points. Sanabria wants the screen. He'll get it. And, oh, he almost hit a tough fall away. Had it somehow rattle out. Loose ball is saved by the Terriers. Hopkinson kept it in, and a pretty touch shown by Porter. 4 points for Porter.
Yeah, good hustle by Hopkinson to get the Terriers another possession. And there he got a nice, easy shot on the baseline.
So the Terriers cut it to 10 once more.
I'd like to see NC State go back to that UCLA cut, which was wide open when the guard came off the cut from the big man up top.
Hicks will go up strong, and he is fouled. Jamel Bodrick will be guilty of his second, and Hicks will go to the free throw line. Here's another look. Boy, how about the addition of Torrin Dorn?
Yeah, well, he's a glue guy, a scrappy guy. He does the things out there that a lot of people don't want to do. He's going to defend. He's going to get the loose balls. He's going to play hard every night. You know what you're going to get from him. So he saved him a couple of times in the first game, a couple of air balls. He was able to dive in there and get layups.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is. You know, Markel Johnson gets his hands on a loose ball, and who's there to get it? Torrin Dorn. So he's a scrappy guy, and he's a glue. I call him a glue guy.
Hicks missed the first free throw. Missed them both. And we've got a foul underneath. And is that on Torrin Dorn?
Yeah, that's on Dorn. Dorn has to be able to stay in the game, because when he got into foul trouble the last game, that was when NC State didn't get the hustle plays.
Right.
So as long as he's in the game, NC State will get the hustle plays.
Yeah, that is Dorn's second foul, but Coach Gottfried going to leave him in for the time being. And you're absolutely right. When he picked up his second last time on Friday, there's an and one opportunity. Joshua Nurse to the bucket, and that's going to be a Boo's second foul. When Dorn picked up his second, NC State had a 10-point lead. He came out, and we thought that was where the first half swung. Georgia Southern able to mount a comeback. They were down just 1 at halftime.
Yeah, and then he got a foul in the second half, and that's when Georgia Southern came and got the lead. So now, you know, he's picked up his second, and Coach Godfrey's leaving it, so Coach Godfrey knows what we know, that he needs him out there on the floor.
Both teams going to have to adjust to a very tightly called ball game, because we've had 16 fouls called in just 10+ minutes right now.
Yeah, well, I think that the officials tend to even it up maybe. In my eyes, being a former player, I think they tend to even it up sometimes, and some calls St. Francis or the other team that's not getting the calls may start getting them.
Dorn stepped on the inline. It'll be a turnover.
Yeah, it looked like that time St. Francis may have switched defenses, and NC State didn't read that.
The Wolfpack certainly tested against Georgia Southern on Friday. It was a 2-point game in the end on a buzzer-beating 3. And we've got another foul away from the ball. This is on Markel Johnson, his first.
Yeah, Markel Johnson may have been holding a little bit, where when you're that far away from the pass, you might want to try to cheat under the screen maybe or follow over. I think with the patience that the Terriers have shown, he might have been better to go over, because I don't think they're looking for quick shots. They're looking to run the shot clock down.
Sanabria, 70% free throw shooter last season, and he gets the first. The sophomore from Staten Island. He missed all but 6 games last year with a shoulder injury, and again, that was when Hopkinson's really took over that starting point guard role and shined.
Yeah, well, this is what you don't want to do.
Watch out, into our table.
You don't want to.
Sanabria collides hard, and he's all right.
Yeah, you don't want to give them free throws and easy points with the clock stopped. You know, you want to make St. Francis earn everything, and right now they're scrapping, and they're getting to the free throw line, and they're getting free throws, they're getting loose balls, just like they came over here, you know, going for that loose ball. So NC State will have to pick up their intensity and match St. Francis. Still in a man-to-man.
Henderson pulls up, nothing but net.
Yep, nice one dribble pull-up by Terry Henderson.
Hopkinson calls for the screen. He'll get it from Nurse. Nurse, the tallest player on the team for St. Francis, and he took too many steps.
Yeah, that time he tried to get by BJ and ran into that brick wall. And,
yeah.
and he's a thin guy, so he couldn't take that. He couldn't take that hit.
That's the 6th turnover for St. Francis.
Yeah, but St. Francis, they can't come in and turn the ball over. They have to give themselves a chance. What Georgia Southern did is they did not turn it over. So if St. Francis is going to keep stay in this game, they have to not turn the ball over.
Smith is short. Offensive rebound goes to Darius Hicks. To the basket. Yep. Nurse bumped him. That'll be his first foul, and so DSJ to the line.
Yeah, well, that's what Dennis needs to do. The first shot, when he came off of that first screen, he could have took another dribble and got it to the free throw line or got it in the lane, and that time he decided to attack the basket, and that was a great idea.
It's a second foul on Nurse. It was a shooting foul anyways, but it should be noted that 10 team fouls now on the Terriers. So NC State double bonus rest of the way.
Yes, a tightly called game so far. They might let them play a little bit later.
There's Olafson, who started hot. Gives it up to Gianni Ford. They're very excited about his play as a true freshman. And he can't get the shot from the free throw line to go.
Yeah, that was a good free throw line shot coming off the ball screen. He just missed it.
Really, both Rasheem Dunn and Gianni Ford they're excited about as freshmen. Henderson maybe settling for a 3.
Yeah, see, that's not the shot that you want. That time they had Hicks in the low post, and Sanabria was fronting him. They could have got him the ball, but I don't think NC State is recognizing that.
Montgomery, 18-footer, way too much.
St. Francis is getting good looks, though.
Yeah.
They're getting good looks, so they have to knock them down. If they don't knock those kind of looks down, it's going to be a long night. But they're scrapping so hard on the defensive end that's really what's keeping them in the game.
Yeah, NC State shooting 62%. The Terriers just 33%. Inside, Henderson on the freshman. Yep. And as NC State's elder statesman, you know he wants to take an undersized freshman down low and score easily. Yeah,
that's where NC State needs to get the ball down on the block. You have Henderson that can post up. I think Dennis Smith Jr. also can post these guys up.
Ford over Anya, and he's NC State's all-time leading shot blocker, but so many more shots he changes even if he doesn't get a fingertip on it. I think he changed that one from Ford.
Right, with that long wingspan, it's hard to get shots up over him.
Sanabria, good D, knocks the ball away. Smith regathers. 13 on the shot clock. Sanabria, really good defense. Smith has to just throw one up, and it's short. That's, well, it rebounded just before the shot clock, but really would have been the second shot clock violation. That tough Terrier defense digging in, and on the other side, rewarded with a 3 from Sanabria.
Yeah, well, that was really good, tough, gritty defense by the Terriers, and then a good push in the open court to find Sanabria for a wide open 3. Now, they'll take those wide open rhythm 3s in transition, but if they don't have it, the good thing about them is that they're running their offense.
How about Markel Johnson with the blow by, and it should be noted as you look to the scorers table,
right.
Torin Dorn is ready to come back in, but so is Ted Capita. So next whistle, we'll have the first look at the freshman. Forward marked by Henderson. He stepped on the line. That'll be an official timeout. The Terriers hanging tough. Glenn Sanabria knocks down the tray, but it's NC State by 12. Welcome back. Tuesday, we'll have the 6th annual State Farm Champions Classic from Madison Square Garden. It's number 2 Kentucky and number 12 Michigan State at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by number 1 Duke and 3rd-ranked Kansas. Both games are on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. BJ Anya with the spin cycle move, couldn't get the left hook to go.
Yeah, that's a good move for BJ, though, to get down in the paint, and he took a strong, aggressive move. And we didn't see that before, but that was a nice, aggressive move that time.
Are you looking for Anya to have a little bit more offensively this season? He's been primarily a defensive player his first 3 years.
Well, I'm looking for him to be, more assertive on look more assertive on the offensive end, especially when you got all these other big guys. If you want to get on the floor, you have to be more aggressive and show that you belong out there on the floor and you can bring something to the table.
So as we told you before the break, Ted Capita is in. Again, part of that freshman class. They go to Anya in the post. Well, he likes that left hook. There's Capita with the offensive board, and he's fouled.
Well, that's what Capita can do. He can rebound the ball. He's aggressive. Not really a guy that's going to come out there and do things that he's not used to doing. So he's going to come out and work hard, and you know what you're going to get. And those are the type of players that you need to have out there.
Ted Capita, 6'8" freshman. He's from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and got that good news just before the game on Friday that he was cleared to go by the NCAA. So it was really like an hour before tip-off. It was last minute. So this is his first game.
Good. Well, I know he's very excited to get all that NCAA stuff out of the way, and he really won't have a hard time getting chemistry with the guys because at least he's been able to practice. So that helps as far as him, getting adjusted into the speed of the game, like real game play.
Dennis Smith will come back in as Dorn comes out. Remember, they both have 2 fouls, but for an NC State team that struggled to rebound at times on Friday night because Anya and Abu were in foul trouble, you got the sense that they were just missing a big guy. We know the 5-star recruit, Omir Yurtseven, is going to be out for 9 games, but having Capita will help tremendously in that regard. You could see it in the first possession. He was on the floor.
Oh, yeah, that'll help because he's a big, active guy, so he's going to go to the boards, and that's what he does. So he doesn't try to get out of character. He's always going to be around the basket, so you always got a chance of getting a second shot.
Capita gets the air ball.
There it is.
Henderson is fouled. Yagos Lasic.
So nice play that ran the UCLA offense, and then Terry Henderson with a nice back cut and got a foul. So they're getting good stuff.
It's the under 4 timeout. NC State leads by 14, and Henderson going to the line when we return. We are back from the city of Oaks, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm Andrew Sanders, here with NBA champion Chucky Brown. Terry Henderson going to the line, but Chucky, the story thus far in the first half has been NC State and their ability to get the ball inside.
Yeah, well, they have a size advantage, a height advantage, a weight advantage. So why not play to your strengths? You know, that's what they're doing today, which they didn't do Friday night, and you know it made it a much tougher game. But now they're extending the lead a little bit by going in the paint, and now they need to continue to do so. Not only that, but make your free throws, but continue to attack the paint and just continue to dominate and use your strength.
NC State leading points in the paint, 14-4. And how about this 3-point field goals? NC State has taken just one, so you can see the emphasis from Coach Godfrey.
Yeah, well, Coach Godfrey probably went back and watched the tape and saw how NC State was settling for the three-point shot.
Olafson's knocked down a three. He'll take it inside, and boy, he's shown the ability to put the ball on the floor as well.
Yeah, well, he's a good three-point shooter, and you have to respect that. But that time, it looked like he didn't have the ball settled in his hand, so he gave a nice little shot fake, put it down one time, and straight to the rim.
Speaking of to the rim, what a dish. Dennis Smith Jr.'s second assist, and Anya will point to the passer. It was a good dish.
Yeah, that was a great dish that time, and that's there all night if they're going to play Dennis Smith man-to-man, because he, like I said, he has a size advantage, he has an athletic advantage as well, and he was able to draw some help and drop it off to BJ. Now that time there, NC State's defense, you know, nobody came over to help.
No help.
So
no help defense.
It was an easy layup. Good play by St. Francis, staying in the game.
So you saw that last offensive possession, what people expect from Dennis Smith Jr., his ability to drive and create for others. Got, you know, a point-blank look for Anya that he's going to convert, 100 times out of 100. When you go jam it. How about the offensive moves from Ted Capita? Well, I think the crowd is excited to see that.
Right, well, Ted is not known as an offensive guy, but that time, he took advantage of his size, and there was nothing that Olafson could do with him once he got the ball down in that low paint area.
Capita's fired up. I mean, just a little Euro step move into the underhand feed. Losic up in the air. Completely fooled the defense. NC State a 15-point lead. And Johnson is going to be called. Or pardon me, got fouled. It was Sanabria who's guilty. That's his second.
Yeah, that was a nice back cut that time. Johnson was sitting in the corner, and as Dennis Smith dribbled to the basket, his man turned his head, and anytime your guy turns his head, that's when you want to give a good back cut, and that's exactly what he did.
NC State 14 of 20 from the free throw line. Here comes Sean Kirk in for Dennis Smith. Offensive board to Capita. He's provided that spark today.
Yeah, that's what he does, is rebound the ball, and there's nobody big enough or physical enough to keep him from getting the ball or keep him off the glass.
Hopkinson, the leading three-point shooter for the Terriers last season, above 36%, and he knocks it in. Still a 14-point lead. The Terriers 4 of 9 from three. Capita again. Well, you got to figure he was, until Friday night, he was sitting there wondering, will I get a chance to play? And if so, when? He is absolutely hungry for his opportunity.
Right, well, he's taking advantage of his opportunity, and he's hanging around the basket. You know where he's going to be. Anytime a guy is dribbling or going to the basket, they can drop it off to him for an easy layup, just like they just did.
Second foul on Markel Johnson, but that's just, as you said, not everybody wants to do it, but that's just hard work inside.
Right, that's hard work, determination, and having some grit. So Ted has grit. He's been sitting there watching, so he's been hungry and, as they say, chewing at the bit to get out there. And he's out there now, so he's taking advantage of his opportunity. And there'll be more minutes to come from this.
Perfect from the field. 8 points already. Here comes Hicks in for Anya. Both teams, again, having to deal with some foul trouble. We expect that to favor the Wolfpack just from a depth perspective.
Yeah, definitely. The Wolfpack can go, 9, 10 deep. St. Francis doesn't have that luxury.
The Terriers down to just 11 scholarship players. Tough luck in the offseason as they had Corey Johnson go down with a season-ending knee injury in practice last month. And also Dagger Johnson as Henderson misses. Dagger Johnson left to go back to Iceland. And so just like that, 2 players gone that they were expecting to have. Well, they're hitting threes. That's the 5th one. Dunn connects again.
Well, what looked like a lead that NC State was going to, slowly extend. Now the Terriers have got back in it with the long ball, and NC State probably needs to score on this possession to maybe lessen the Terriers' confidence and chances of coming back and getting back in this game. I know it's a long game, but they need to do something to take away some confidence.
Shot clock violation. That tough Terriers defense, when you look at on the floor for NC State right now, because of the foul trouble, you've got 3 freshmen, Johnson, Hicks, and Capita, along with the sophomore Sean Kirk, and then the veteran Terry Henderson.
Right, well, Terry will have to kind of be like the traffic cop out there and just tell everybody where to go, where to be. It needs to be some talking out there, and he's doing it. I see him out here now, just talking.
So credit the Terriers. Didn't let this get too far away from them. Could cut it to single digits before halftime. A Hopkinson miss and a Henderson board will finish the half. So the Wolfpack score 42 points. They lead by 11 at the halftime break. We've had a good battle here. You've seen a contrast of styles. NC State inside, St. Francis outside.
Yeah, St. Francis is a good 3-point shooting team. They've been very patient on the offensive end and only really taken threes in transition, which is the best time, or they've gotten offensive rebounds and taken the 3-point shots.
We'll be right back here on the ACC Network Extra. Welcome back here inside the PNC Arena, where NC State leads by 11 at the halftime break. We welcome you courtside here. I'm Andrew Sanders alongside Chucky Brown. And Chucky, when we look at the preseason expectations for both of these teams, let's start first with St. Francis. Again, they were 2nd in the conference last season, but in missing those 3 starters, picked 7th this year.
Yeah, they lost a lot. Then they had the big fella get hurt. So I think they're picked to finish like 7th in their conference. So that's probably about right. But when you have strong guard play, anything is possible, and St. Francis does have very strong guard play.
You see Fairleigh Dickinson picked to win the NEC this year, but Wagner also garnering 4 votes. On the other side, NC State in the ACC picked 6th in the preseason, and really nobody knows for sure about this team. Their talent is probably better than 6, but there's so many new parts, they could finish kind of anywhere in the mix.
Right, well, I had them picked to finish a little higher than 6, maybe 5 or 4. But like you said, they have a little bit of an unknown. If they gel early or start to get into gelling during early in the conference season, anything can happen. They can finish as high as 2 or 3. So NC State probably has put them at 6, but with a question mark. Right. They can finish higher.
8 points for Ted Capita already this afternoon. We know he's a big boost getting back. Also, the 5-star Omer Yurtseven is going to come back after 9 games. So some serious potential for this Wolfpack team.
Yeah, they have serious potential and serious depth. Not many teams will be able to go that deep on the front line. And when you have that type of luxury and you have good perimeter play, you can go really far in the tournament.
Yeah, so plenty of options for Mark Gottfried. We've got to step away. On the other side, we'll have highlights and stats from the first half. When we come back here, you're watching ACC basketball on the ACC Network Extra. 42-31 our score at the break. Both teams hit the locker room for halftime. Andrew Sanders and Chucky Brown with you here from the PNC Arena. Chucky, let's look at some of the highlights from the first half, and it was a pretty up and down first half that we saw. Torin Dorn got started early on. He has 5 points for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, well, Torin Dorn is a scrappy guy. Yeah, he's going to do the things that no one wants to do, and he's a guy that has to be out there and keep things together. Like I've said it all telecasting, he's a glue guy, and those guys, you always need those kind of guys willing to sacrifice their game for the team.
Dennis Smith Jr., 7 points in the first half, really asserted himself early on as well.
Yeah, he asserted himself by getting to the basket, using his athleticism, coming off the screen and roll, not settling for 3-point shots, but when he did take outside shots, they were rhythm shots, and those are the best shots to take.
St. Francis was dangerous from the outside. They were 5 of 11 from the bonus sphere in the first half. And shot, that's 45%, a little better than 45%. Get a look at another open three. Rasheem Dunn knocks it down. And St. Francis led by Gunnar Olafson and Dunn, both with 7 points. You get a look at the stats. We talked about NC State with that emphasis inside.
Right.
Only 2 3-point shots, but 22 free throws. You look at the points in the paint as well, and about what we would expect when you look at these teams on paper with the size advantage for Mark Gottfried's team.
Right. Well, what NC State has to continue to do, and what they've been doing, is just getting the ball in the paint because of the size advantage. You have to use your strengths against teams. And as far as on the other end, they can't allow St. Francis to get them in transition and get those wide open threes. And if you're St. Francis, you want to continue to be scrappy on the defensive end and try to get NC State in transition to get the open threes, because when they're in the half court and they're set, they're just too big to have to fight to get open looks.
Yeah, and to that point, St. Francis shooting better from three-point range than they are overall in the game. So threes worth more than 2, and it's been easier than 2 for the Terriers. NC State getting that ball inside, shot 56% in the first half, and you're going to win most games to shoot 56%, so they look to keep that up. I wonder here, Chucky, for you, keys to the second half for both teams.
Well, the key for NC State, of course, is to continue to pound the ball in the paint.
Yeah.
Continue to use your size. The key for St. Francis is to get NC State offensively, to get NC State in transition where they can get the open threes and not have to come down and set up and run their offense. I know you want to be patient if you're St. Francis, but you have to get open looks, and it's been really tough when NC State has been in the half-court defense for them to get open looks.
And for St. Francis, we saw some of that in-your-face, in-your-shirt defense by the Terriers. They forced a couple of shot clock violations. You want to see more of that tight man in the second half?
Well, I think they should probably switch up the defenses a little bit and maybe try to throw a little something different at NC State. But, continue to be aggressive. They're doing, you got to give them credit. They're coming here and they're doing what they do. They're not trying to adjust to what anybody else does. They're trying to make you adjust to them. So that's the sign of a good coach in my book.
All right, we've got to take another break. We'll be back with the second half after these words. Our Week 10 Monday Night Football matchup features 2 of the best receivers in the NFL. It's A.J. Green and the Bengals taking on Odell Beckham Jr. and the 5-3 Giants at MetLife Stadium. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. A.J. Green, Odell Beckham. Hopefully you got one of them on your fantasy team. Both of them outstanding wide receivers. So again, coverage starts at 6. 8:15 is kickoff. All right, back here in Raleigh as we're about to start the second half. You look at Mark Gottfried and the NC State coaching staff, and all of them sporting beards, and for a great cause. NC State men's basketball staff, they won't shave in the month of November in support of Chris Combs, who is a former NC State baseball player. He's the current associate director of the Wolfpack Club, who was diagnosed with ALS this May. So it's a great way to show their support, help raise awareness. Fans are encouraged to grow their own beards and share on social media using the hashtag Beards4Chris ALS. Again, hashtag Beards4Chris ALS. And if you would like to donate money towards the fight against ALS, you can visit teamchriscombs.com. Money goes towards raising awareness and vital research to help battle ALS. That's a great thing that Coach Gottfried and the coaching staff can do to show their solidarity.
Right. Yeah, I've known Chris. He actually was a ball boy when I played.
Is that right?
Yes, he was a ball boy when I played at NC State, so I know him very well.
Underway in the second half. B.J. Anya with the right hook this time, and he scores.
Yep. Good shot by B.J. Nice pass by Terry, and a nice little jump hook in the paint again. So NC State is going back to their strength.
So B.J. Anya has 7 points now. It's been a balanced scoring attack for the Wolfpack. 2 players with 8, and that's Abu as Keon Williams stepped on the sideline. Abu and then Ted Capita both with 8. And Capita got hot fast. Like his nickname might be the microwave. 5 minutes and 8 points.
Right. He came in. He was ready to play. He'd been sitting there watching. So good for him that he was ready to play.
Oh, Anya, you can see that wingspan, but last touched by BJ. An emphatic call by Roger Ayers, and Anya trying to plead his case. We'll see another look. You can see that unreal wingspan.
Right.
And yeah, BJ, it looked like was cupping it in his hand, and last touched by the Terriers, I think Olafson. And they will overrule the call. So a good job by our officials to get together, talk about it, and make the right decision.
Yeah, that was good by the officials. They're not all bad, so.
No, I mean, you got to have tremendous respect
right.
for the job that they do.
Yep. Got to have respect for what they do. It's a tough job, and they don't have the benefit of replay.
Right.
You know.
Things happen fast.
Yeah, and this
Abu
is a
just picked up his third foul pretty fast here in the second half.
Right. This is a good officiating crew,
So Ted Capita off the bench, walking to the scorer's table, presumably to check in for Malik Abu. Sanabria with a hard drive, and he'll finish. Count the basket.
Yeah, that was a nice drive by Sanabria, but someone has to step in the lane to take away from that easy lane. See, that time I believe it was Torrin Dorn kept following his man out to the corner. If he steps in the lane, he might be able to get a charge right here. But I know that NC State has a lot of confidence in BJ blocking shots, but he's not going to get them all.
Terry Henderson whistled for the foul. That's just his first. Sanabria to the line, 8 points. And again, they're so excited to have him back this season. He got that medical red shirt last year. And anytime as a player you miss any significant time with injury, I know you already have the nerves and the excitement going for opening day, but even more so when you've been injured. We saw Terry Henderson with that on Friday, and Sanabria, a similar situation.
Right. Yeah, it's always good to get those guys back, and when you come from injury, you know, it's usually tough to get your wind and your legs back.
This will be a jump ball. It should be Terrier ball, yeah. Possession arrow favors the visitors from Brooklyn.
Yeah, St. Francis picked up that time, three-quarter court, man-to-man pressure defense, and it caused NC State a little bit of a problem. So what NC State has to do is get the ball over, maybe run a little screen and roll action, or get into their UCLA offense and still continue to attack the paint.
Sanabria, a long three. And Nurse with a big board, 6'10", Joshua Nurse.
Good patience again to get the ball out and run your offense.
Hopkinson will find an open Gunnar Olafson. Kind of surprised he didn't knock that down. Tough take by Henderson. And you know, he was quoted in the postgame on Friday. I thought this was a pretty good quote. As Nurse picks up his third foul, I thought this was a pretty good quote where he was talking about, you know, late game situation against Georgia Southern. And he said, hey, our young guys need to understand there's a time to execute the offense and run an offensive set, and there's a time to go get a bucket.
Right, exactly. So you have to know when that is. And he's like I said, he's been around. So he can tell them when that is. Now, when you go get a bucket, it's like in transition. And when the time to execute is when you have to run your half-court offense, you have to execute then. But when you're in transition, that's when you go get the bucket.
So I think he had in his mind right there, hey, we started a little slow here in the second half. I'm going to get to the basket and get a bucket. And he got the free throws. So it's a very good free throw shooter. Dorn with the steal. The Terriers doing a pretty good job getting back defensively, but a pretty spin move.
Yep.
Able to score.
In transition. Oh.
And Henderson, or pardon me, Dennis Smith called for the foul.
Yeah, you can't get fouls that far away from the basket, especially when you're a guy like a Dennis Smith.
That's 3 fouls on Smith. Sanabria gets the screen from Montgomery. NC State in the zone. And Hopkinson says zone, no problem.
Yeah. Well, I look for Hopkinson to get more involved offensively. That right there was a bad shot. You know, if you're NC State, you don't want to do that. You don't want to settle for threes. You want to still pound it in the paint. But I look for Hopkinson to start getting off and trying to score a little more.
So a poor shot, but Terry Henderson picks up the steal. And Henderson now with 11, the first player for either team into double figures. So leading the way scoring-wise for the Wolfpack in the second game as well. 13-point lead. St. Francis just trying to use that three-point shooting, just hang around, keep it close, maybe make something happen towards the end.
Yeah, because it's only a 13-point game.
Right. Gunnar Olofsson right there. That was a Gunnar shot. And he missed everything. Henderson in rhythm. No, but he followed his own shot. Hopkinson will roll out of bounds.
Yeah, but that was a quick shot. And if you're NC State, you're up by 13. You want to take your time, and that's the time. He talked about it. That's the time you execute right there. So you need to execute your offense and not take those quick three-point shots. Not at this time.
NC State 0 of 5 from 3, and you know, with Maverick Rowan being out with that concussion, no word how long he'll be out. Right. But you know, he is one of their primary three-point shooters.
Right.
He's struggling from the line, but again, not taking nearly as many today.
Right. Well, they have to. You know, they really don't. They really don't have to because of their size advantage. They need to just keep pounding it.
Let me blocking foul underneath. Montgomery charged with it. And you can see from the NC State guards, not only do they have the big guys down low that they can post up, but the guards have enough quickness to be able to get into the paint.
Right, they can get into the paint and they can cause fouls like they're doing. Every time they've driven the ball to the paint, they've gotten something good out of it, either a dish layoff, dish off for a layup, or they've gotten fouled. So they need to continue to do that. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Sanabria called for the foul. Here's Dorn with an easy curl to the bucket.
Well, in the paint that time Dorn was in the low post. So NC State just needs to continue to post these guys up and attack them.
Sanabria reading the floor. Here's Dunn. Knocked down a couple of threes in the first half. Three on the way is good.
Yeah, well, NC State has gone to a zone. I don't know. Maybe they should go back to that man-to-man because they've given up 2 3-point shots, which is the Terriers' strength.
And the Terriers, after a turnover, it's Olofsson. He can't get it to fall, but Henderson whistled for the foul. That will take us to the under 16 timeout. St. Francis hanging tough here. Glenn Sanabria, after the injury last season, he is healthy and he's having a good start to his season. Back here in the PNC Arena tonight, wrap up your weekend with SportsCenter at night with John Anderson, Chris Byrne, and Herm Edwards. John will have all the college basketball, NBA, and NHL highlights, as well as the rest of the day in sports, with Boomer and Herm joining the show for NFL highlights and analysis. SportsCenter at night on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN. Gunnar Olofsson way short on the second free throw, and Dunn will save the possession.
Yeah, you can't have that. You can't have that. That's number 4 on Dennis now. Yeah, you can't have extra rebounds from a free throw, and then bad things are going to always happen when you have that, and now you've got Dennis Smith with his 4th foul.
Smith's 4th foul and the 5th foul already of the second half on the Wolfpack. So it looks like the Terriers might be shooting a lot of free throws here in the second half. So Smith, of course, will go out with the 4 fouls. Johnson is the point guard now for the Wolfpack. So that offensive foul leading to the offensive rebound, leading to a crucial foul. Dunn will take it inside. Splits Capita, and Hicks comes away with it. In transition, nobody's got Johnson on the leak out. He'll score.
That was a good pass that time, and even on that rebound, Capita couldn't get it, so he slapped it out to Terry Henderson.
Look at the stat sheet, and St. Francis just trailing by 13 points. Biggest reason why, outscoring NC State behind the three-point line by 21 points. They've knocked down 7. NC State, again, has still not hit a 3. Hopkinson will pull one. And a high rebound. Oh. And it's going to go against Darius Hicks, who was called for holding, but he was the high man on that rebound. He was the one that tipped it out.
Yeah, well, it looked like he was being held, but then again, I'm over here, so the officials are out there, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, just his first foul. Yeah, I guess they called him for the arm underneath because his left hand, he was the guy that got the ball.
Right.
It's his first foul, but again, team 6th. So next NC State foul, St. Francis will be shooting 1-1. And that's really what we saw in the first half as well. NC State got into the bonus. There's a pretty alley-oop to Capita.
Good high-low pass that time. And NC State needs to go back to that. They need to go back to that high-low type of pass because the Terriers are fronting down there, and they're not big enough to be able to go up and bother that shot.
Ted Capita, 10 points in under 10 minutes. Montgomery backs him down. And that's a pretty look off the glass.
Yeah, that's a nice shot right there. Very aggressive move by Montgomery.
Montgomery, true freshman from Montgomery Village, Maryland.
NC State looks to be running their offense through Terry Henderson. And that time I thought that was a bit of a tough shot for him right there. I was sort of expecting NC State to run the offense maybe through Markel Johnson or Torrin Dorn.
Eunice Hopkinson whistled for his first, and there's that guy again, Torrin Dorn, as you said, helping his teammates out, cleaning up some of the garbage.
Yes.
And he bails out Henderson after a tough shot. NC State still with an opportunity on this end of the floor. Dorn walked with the basketball.
Yeah, that was a good call. He had his mind made up that he was going to the basket that time and going to take advantage of his size. And that time he just took off a little bit too early.
9th turnover for NC State. St. Francis has turned the ball over 11 times. Hopkinson picked up his dribble. Sanabria leaning away, and Capita will just corral the air ball. Johnson, a little hesitation dribble. And Dunn was just first to the ball.
Oh.
Henderson fouls him. And right there, I think both Henderson and Capita thought the other one was going to get the basketball. Dunn didn't think about it. He just reacted.
Right. Nobody communicated, but when you're in a situation like that, somebody just go after it. If you crash into each other going after it, the coach can't really be mad. But that time when you let the other team, they go after it and they're coming from behind you, then there's something that the coach can say to you about that.
Rasheem Dunn shooting 2. He now has 8 points. By the way, that's the 3rd foul on Terry Henderson. So again, Smith saddled on the sideline with 4 fouls. And Henderson picking up 3. Malik Abu on the bench with 3 fouls as well. Dunn goes 1 of 2 from the free throw line. This is the first all-time meeting between NC State and St. Francis.
Yeah, that high-low pass is there all day with St. Francis trying to front the post. And that time, Terry Henderson came off of the UCLA cut, went straight to the post, and they were trying to front him, and the pass was there, and they threw it, and he got held.
Yeah, Darrell Porter was holding Darius Hicks, they say. 2nd foul. You can see the size advantage inside. Capita had his hand up. He wanted the ball on the 6'6" Montgomery. Johnson dishes it to him. And he scores and 1. And you can see the fire that he plays with. He's been getting his teammates excited. He gets the fans excited.
Well, NC State needs that kind of a boost. And Capita has come in and done that for him because NC State has pretty much been a little flat, you know, during parts of this game. And when Dennis Smith Jr. went out, it seemed like NC State had been playing a little flat. So Capita, with that layup, maybe can give a boost of energy, and they can get some energy going, and it can go throughout everybody on the team.
Capita couldn't have asked for a better start to his college basketball career. He now has 13 points. He is a perfect 5 of 5 from the floor.
Right.
And it's opened up a 15-point Wolfpack advantage.
It's a big possession right now for St. Francis.
Montgomery, right hook, too strong off the back iron. Dorn, hesitation dribble, he lost the handle. And so we'll head to the media timeout. The NC State 15-point lead. What a spark Ted Capita has been. Just cleared on Friday, and the energy he plays with, 13 points, again, perfect from the field. 11:41 remaining in the second half. NC State with a 15-point lead at this juncture. Torrin Dorn going to the line. Chucky, you know, NC State had just 3 bench points on the opener on Friday night. You look at the point distribution here, it has been very balanced. 6 players with 7 points or more, and they have 17 bench points tonight. Easy reason why Capita has chipped in 13.
Right, well, Capita is ready for his opportunity. So he's come in and provided some energy, and it really wasn't hard for him to be able to gel with everyone because he's been able to practice with these guys. So, I mean, he's done a great job, and he has to just continue to play hard, and even more minutes will come during the course of the year.
Entry pass, Bodrick kicks it. Porter is short.
Good patience right there by NC State.
Yeah, nothing there. Henderson wanted to slow it down. Now he'll go into the lane and misses the up and under layup. Sanabria is pushing, and Johnson, he got the ball up top. He might have gotten him with the body. His 3rd foul.
Yeah, well, Sanabria, that was a good job in transition, trying to make something happen, because that's what they have to do. They're down 16, and like I said, they want to get NC State in transition because it's been too tough pretty much for them to they've gotten good looks but not made it, but it's been too tough to have to fight against that size and that length and that athleticism of NC State.
St. Francis 66% from the line today, 10 of 15. Sean Kirk will check in for Henderson. And so now, remember, the foul trouble going to be a factor probably for both teams. Already 15 fouls called in this second half, 8 on the Pack, 7 on the Terriers. But Dennis Smith has 4 fouls on the bench, and now the backup point guard, Markel Johnson, with his 3rd.
Right, well, NC State has the luxury of being able to run their offense through Torrin Dorn, Terry Henderson. You know, they have multiple guys that can run the offense. So if someone gets in foul trouble, that depth, that's when NC State's depth comes into play.
Sean Kirk, now a sophomore, ultra athletic wing. 5 on the shot clock. Dorn with a finger roll.
And that's exactly what they have to do. So NC State has looked to continue to get the ball in the paint. Nice dribble to get his body on his defender, and then just a nice little spin move, pivot, and a nice layup right at the rim.
Torrin Dorn has 12 points and 5 rebounds in 20 minutes. Kirk with a huge block. Capita was there as well, as Rasheem Dunn got in there amongst the trees.
Right, well, they're pretty athletic out there. So when you go in there, you better be decisive with what you're going to do. If you don't have a shot, you better be creating for someone else.
Hopkinson looking for an outlet, and Johnson's got to be careful to pick up his 4th. Three on the shot clock, long 3. Sanabria, no. Offensive rebound is Bodrick. Jamel Bodrick is there, one of those newcomers.
Jamel Bodrick that time had good position on the miss, and was able to knock it down because Hicks was behind him.
Hicks a long 2.
Yeah, that's not the shot you're looking for if you're NC State. You have to execute your offense, and now you get in transition, and this happens. Now they're back in the game, down 12 now.
The confidence of Eunice Hopkinson. Again, 36% shooter from deep last year. He has 7 points.
Well, he's a senior, so he's not going to be afraid. So he's been through.
Yeah, he wasn't shy either.
Yeah, so he's been through the war, so he's not going to be afraid.
Dorn will try a 3, and he knocks it down. Dorn kind of carrying the team offensively the last couple minutes.
Yeah, that's a big shot, a big possession right there for NC State.
And again, that's the first 3 for the Wolfpack. Missing Maverick Rowan today. No word on just how long he'll be out with the concussion that he sustained against Georgia Southern on Friday night late in that ball game. Inside, Capita does a nice job playing without fouling, but still contesting.
Yeah, that was good defense by Capita.
6 boards for the freshman in his first game. Dorn has to save it. Hopkinson gets it to Sanabria, and it should be easy points for Dunn and the Terriers.
Yeah, the Terriers are scrapping. They're not going away. So NC State's going to have to play this one out. There was good active hands on the defensive end, good hustle, and just getting out in transition.
Dorn stays aggressive. That's 7 points for him in just the last handful of possessions.
Yeah, he realizes that, if I go to the basket, I'm strong. This guy that's guarding me is not strong enough or big enough to stop me, so that's all I'm going to do.
Dorn, 17 points, 7 of 8 from the field. Another 3 from Hopkinson, not this time. That's one of those heat checks right there.
Yeah, well, he has to do what he has to do to try to get his team back in it, and I figured he'd start taking more shots.
Ted Capita stays perfect from the field. Another and 1.
That was a nice roll to the basket, and he was found on the roll to the basket, and there's nobody big enough back there to really stop him. His man was late getting back.
Capita has been outstanding in his Wolfpack debut. Welcome back, everybody, to the PNC Arena. Andrew Sanders, Chucky Brown with you here. And, boy, Ted Capita has been outstanding today as NC State has tied its largest lead of the game, 17. And it'll stay 17 with the missed free throw. But he's really impressed me, Chucky, with his footwork today.
Right. Well, that comes from extra hours in the gym, working on his footwork, working with the coaches. And, he's just worked at it, and he's had an opportunity to look and see areas where, he needs to improve, and he's done that.
Only 6 on the shot clock. Dunn gets it away to Hopkinson. Going to have to force up a 3 into Henderson. Missed everything.
Shot clock started over.
Yeah, they did reset the shot clock.
It shouldn't have, yeah.
And that's what Coach Gottfried, as I look over to the NC State bench, he's tapping his head. He's saying, hey, that was a shot clock violation. And you can see Dennis Smith wants it too. It shouldn't have restarted, I don't think.
No, it didn't touch anything. Yep.
It will be NC State basketball. I figured I would ask you about footwork because of your time in the NBA.
Right. Well, we worked on footwork a lot. So, I find that, now that I'm older now, I'm 48 now, so when I play against younger guys, the thing that gets me by is footwork.
Dennis Smith just gliding to the rim. He was fouled.
Yeah, but that's what Dennis has to do. He has to get to the basket, come off the screen and roll, and look to get to the basket. If he can't get to the basket, look to hit the roll, man, maybe make that extra pass, and the passer, the guy who he passed it to can hit the roll, man, because they have no one big enough on the back line to be able to stop that big guy when he rolls to the basket.
Smith short on the first free throw. Gets the second. It's an 18-point Wolfpack lead, largest of the game. And just when it seems like NC State's going to make a run, kind of put St. Francis out of it, the Terriers have been able to hit a 3, but this being the largest lead, important possession here. Olofsson works it around. Sanabria, tough shot. It'll stay Terrier basketball.
Yeah, the Terriers are running a high screen and roll, and that time Hopkinson, when he came off at the top, Capita came up and deterred him from shooting that three-point shot.
Olofsson thought about the long two. Henderson almost knocked it away. In the corner, the trap.
Yeah, that was a good trap that time. That's the best time to trap a guy when you get in the corner. And then when you have a small guy and you got some size, that can make the pass a whole lot tougher.
NC State has forced 12 Terrier turnovers this afternoon. Dunn will look to reset the offense. Glenn Bryka coaching him up from the sideline, directing traffic. Long three on the way.
Again, a high screen and roll up at the top. But that time, NC State forced them to take that three-point shot a little further out.
The Terriers now 7 of 21 from three, so they've missed their last 5.
Right.
And you can see they're starting to settle for that shot. You know, they were shooting an abnormally high percentage early on, which was kind of keeping them in it. But now we've seen as they have to burn a timeout. The crowd likes that. It has just been, it's not been the same when you're having to settle for these long threes.
Right. Well, they don't have the luxury of being able to be patient on offense anymore, being down by.
We'll take a break and be right back after this timeout. "17 points and 5 rebounds for Torin Dorn this afternoon. And Chucky, you know, so much attention being paid to the 5-star recruits like Dennis Smith and Omer Yurtseven. Perhaps many people overlooking the addition of Torin Dorn, who was the best freshman in the CUSA a couple of years ago. He led UNC Charlotte in scoring, and he has been really a standout player in the first couple of games for NC State.
Yeah, well, he's come out and done the dirty work that a lot of guys don't want to do. He plays hard on defense. You know what you're going to get out of him. And he's been, I'll say it again, he's been my glue guy. Right there, getting a hand on a loose ball right there, causing a turnover.
Oh, the big man. That's his first miss, a point blank after he lost the handle initially. 3 from Dunn. In and out. Offensive rebound to Olofsson. Hopkinson for 3, and that's wide open. You know he's going to knock that one down.
Yeah, well, usually when you get an offensive rebound, that's the best time to get a three-point shot. So they did it. They did both. They got a good 3 in transition, and they got an offensive rebound and got a good 3.
So Hopkinson is in double digits. Dorn, just a 2-pointer. His foot was on the line.
Yeah, well, Dorn is feeling it, and that was a good rhythm jump shot right there.
Again, he's got 19. That is a game high for any player on both teams. Boy, it was a pretty pass from Hopkinson, but Bondrick could not finish it.
Yeah,
Dorn gets it to Henderson. Inside, Malik Abu is hacked, and we haven't seen him much at all in this second half. But back in, Abu, again, saddled with those fouls. He got his 3rd foul early, and then I guess with the play of Capita,
right,
hasn't needed to get many minutes. Olofsson is down. And obviously in a ton of pain. Hope he's all right. Again, Tuesday we'll have the 6th annual State Farm Champions Classic from Madison Square Garden. Number 2 Kentucky, number 12 Michigan State at 7, followed by number 1 Duke and 3rd-ranked Kansas. And now a smile from Olofsson as he comes off the court. So that is a good sign here.
Yeah, you never want to see anyone get hurt, no matter what the injury is. But hopefully he's not hurt too bad and he's able to come back in this game or even the next game.
Abu had been 4 or 5 from the free throw line.
Yeah, he probably is a little cold over there. He's been sitting for a while
with
those fouls, so he's probably a little cold coming back into the game.
Second free throw is good. Abu now 9 points and 5 rebounds. In just 15 minutes of play. So he has been a model of efficiency.
Yeah, he and Capita out there. I like that. I like that lineup for NC State. They're really athletic, and they got two guys that can protect the rim and rebound.
5 on the shot clock. Hopkinson again, and it has just been a barrage of long shots here as St. Francis unable to really get the ball inside. Just working around and trying to find their best look for 3.
Right. Well, NC State is able to push them out a little further. That was a long three-point shot, and NC State with their length, they're forcing them out, forcing them to have to take those shots out a little farther than they want to.
Capita will hand off to Dorn. 3 on the shot clock. He'll shoot. Short offensive rebound is there. It's Abu. Another board by Capita, and you just see too much size from the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I like the combination of Abu and Capita out there playing together. I think this is pretty much the first time that we've seen that in this game, and they're out there bothering shots and out there dominating the boards, which they should do.
17.7 boards for Capita, and I don't know if that shot was called, but Hopkinson will take it.
Yeah, he'll take it. That's a horse shot right there. That'll get you a letter if you don't make that one.
Yeah, I'd be getting a letter for that one.
Me too.
I'm not making that very high
too.
percentage. Abu is fouled. Boy, he was about to throw down the hammer. At NC State, I think Wolfpack fans, wondering just how good the freshman Ted Capita could be. That has been answered here early. The Pack owning the offensive glass, and Ted Capita having himself a day. Back from break, 75-57. NC State leads St. Francis Brooklyn. Malik Abu to the line, and there's a look at Omer Yurtseven. The 5-star recruit comes back December 15th against App State as he misses 9 games due to NCAA suspension. But perhaps, good news for Wolfpack fans, perhaps scary news for the rest of ACC, is that Yurtseven is actually ranked as a better recruit than Ted Capita.
Right. Well, I think that probably comes in because he's probably he is a better offensive player, very skilled, very good footwork. He can stretch the floor. He can shoot it from 3.
Yeah.
So he can do a lot more things offensively, whereas Capita is more of like he'll be around the rim, garbage guy, that type of guy, Dennis Rodman type of guy. He could be that type of guy. So he's probably rated higher because of his offensive ability.
Smith Jr. will finish inside. So Wolfpack fans looking forward to getting Yurtseven. There's now 5 players in double figures. Abu with the free throw made it into double figures, and Smith with the lay-in. So that balanced scoring from NC State, they've got a lot of guys that they can rely on to go get a bucket. And you see here, 19-point lead. They have just kind of quietly continued to open things up, and St. Francis has really not gotten any closer than 15 here in the last 10 minutes.
Right. Well, St. Francis has been overmatched. And what NC State has done is they continue to pound the paint, where you saw them the other night when they got a big lead, they started settling for threes. In this game, they did not do that. So it looks like they learned from Friday night, and they continue to go with the strength and what got them their lead.
Sanabria misses a long 3. And Smith is pushed in the back, fouled. Hey, it's the season opener for St. Francis.
Right.
And picked 7th in their conference this season, but hope springs eternal at the start of every year.
Right.
St. Francis Brooklyn, one of just 5 original Division I teams to never make the NCAA tournament.
Wow, that's tough. But it doesn't look like there'll be a tournament team. But one positive thing that they could come out of this game with is that they've got good, strong guard play. So now with the strong guard play, you can control the tempo of games, and that's what they need to do. They were just overmatched here, and that's going to happen. But, with the good guard play, anything is possible, and the decent bigs, and you have to have guys that when they get opportunity, they're a team that's not going to be able to make a whole lot of mistakes. So when they're going to have to learn to play as mistake-free as possible, and they'll be able to win some games that maybe they weren't supposed to win.
Dennis Smith Jr. gets a nice hand as he comes out. Yeah, they've been close, and under Coach, obviously over the course of the years they've been close, but 01, 03,
right.
2 years ago under Coach Bryka in his 7th year, they won the league but lost on their home floor. But, you know, as he continues to build his team and get quality players from the state of New York and specifically within the city, I know you're a New York City guy, so you know about the quality of basketball there. He can build something and hopefully get off of that list of the 5 teams that have not made a tournament.
Right. Well, he just gets some guys in there, gritty, tough guys, sort of like, like schools like Marquette. I know Marquette is a bigger school, but Marquette always gets those inner city, tough, gritty guys to come to their school, and I think that could be a good formula for St. Francis.
Markel Johnson with the bucket. And you know, when I was doing my research on St. Francis, I got to ask you about this because I feel like you know this guy. Researching famous alums, probably their most famous alum,
right?
Dick Bavetta.
Oh, yeah.
The longtime NBA referee.
Oh, yeah, I know Dick very well. Dick was a very good referee, excellent referee. I enjoyed him. The one thing I liked about Dick was that if you got too emotional, he never got too emotional. So he would look at you when you got too emotional about a call. He'd look at you and say, "Are you done?" And it would just make you laugh. So Dick he's a funny guy out there. So he'd look at you and say, "Are you done?" So it just brought a lighter moment, and you'd be like, "Yeah, Dick, I'm done."
He never missed an assigned game, over 2,600 consecutive games before he retired. So
wow, that's awesome.
You enjoyed Dick Bavetta. He must have not have whistled you for too many fouls.
Yeah, well, he got me for some fouls. He never got me for a tech because when I got too emotional, he always did something to make you laugh.
That's good.
So he was a cool guy.
About a 1 second differential between shot clock and game clock. Johnny Ford and St. Francis going to run one more offensive set. Williams missed everything. Markel Johnson with the board. He'll just dribble it out. And NC State will improve to 2-0. A winning weekend for the Wolfpack. They knock off St. Francis 86-61 as the coaches and players shake hands. Chucky, NC State did what they wanted to do. What your prescription for them was to get the ball inside. They did that, and it was really job well done as they just gradually increased that lead all the way to the end to 25 points.
Yeah, this was a good game for them, for NC State to play in. Friday night was another good game. So they obviously learned from Friday night where they didn't take advantage of their strengths. Today, they took advantage of their strengths, and not only did they take advantage of it, but they kept doing it and didn't get bored with success. They had success with it and stayed with it.
So for our great crew, Chucky Brown, I'm Andrew Sanders saying so long from Raleigh. Final score, NC State 86 and St. Francis 61.